Good morning, seniors. It's a great day to be a Wildcat. I am so excited about this event. Let me explain a little bit about this morning, if I may. This convocation is an annual event, but you would not have attended it before because we reserved this special day for seniors. And as you, this is yours. And I'm going to explain a little bit why. I know that you are feeling very much like you have a foot into adulthood now. And a big part of completing your high school education and looking ahead to whatever you have planned or are going to plan for after high school, one of the things that's really exciting about this program is it is recognizing distinguished alums. And as you meet these people today, I want you to remember that they were you. They walked these same halls. They were literally part of a freshman class that started at this high school, and they were part of a senior class that graduated from this high school. And then they went on to their life's work. And you're going to hear a little bit today about their life's work. We have 7 honorees. 5 of them are with us today, and 2 of them are posthumous awards. And this entire convocation will last less than an hour. So let me talk to you a little bit about this. First of all, I'm going to ask that we really show the kind of ETHS and Wildcat respect that I see in you every single day. They haven't met you. They don't spend every day at this high school, but we do. And we know about your character and about your leadership and about just what good people you are. But let's make sure that they see that today. I will ask that you put your cell phones away and your Chromebooks or whatever, and only for about 58 minutes. This is a test. 58 minutes. But in that 58 minutes, you're going to have an opportunity to meet some extraordinary people and be reminded about what it means to be a Wildcat. Now, finally, I have a hunch that someday, one or more of you sitting in this auditorium will be back on this stage being honored as a distinguished alum. And while there's no way to honor every alum, we know that ETHS is blessed with hundreds, literally thousands of distinguished alum. And that day when you see it publicized that one of you is back here being honored, just that day, sit up a little taller. Put one of those Wildcat smiles on your face. And think about the fact that all of you created the culture and the environment that made the success that each of you will have in life possible. So without any more comments, let's get this program underway. And I'd like to introduce, wherever he is, David Futransky. Mr. Futransky is from the class of '69, and he is the executive director of something you'll belong to in 6 months, the ETHS Alumni Association.
Good morning, class of 2018. Thank you for being with us this morning. And an early welcome to the Alumni Association. ETHS Alumni Association is over 55,000 living members scattered around not just the United States, but the world. And we publish a couple of newsletters, and we do an event like this every year to honor a number of our alumni who have gone on to achieve really high levels in both their personal and professional life and have given back to their communities. If you walk down Heritage Hall facing towards the west, towards the Media Center, on the wall outside, there are 68 plaques. They're about to be joined by 7 more plaques. Those plaques tell a little bit of the story of our distinguished alumni, of people we've been able to recognize. Your program has some notes about how the committee selects people. There's a committee made up of students, current and retired faculty and staff, alumni and community leaders. And they every year go through a list of nominations and decide on who to give the award to. This year they selected from a group of over 80 nominees. And we have 5 people who are here with us, and we have 2 who we're going to honor who are no longer with us. So let's begin the program with our first member of the committee making an introduction, Isabella Garnett. Please welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. If you don't know me, my name is Isabella Garnett, a fellow senior here at ETHS. I am honored to present the Distinguished Alumni Award to Roberta Gassman. Getting to know her has been a joy. While interviewing Miss Gassman, I discovered similarities between the two of us. From being on YAMO, participating on the speech and debate team, and even being a part of the radio station, Miss Gassman was widely active within the ETHS community. She participated in the Budget Sale Group, now known as the Boosters, and Girls Club, which helped raise money and coordinate volunteering around Evanston. She is quoted to be an active leader, a lover of the arts, and a social justice warrior. During her time at ETHS, Ms. Gassman enjoyed participating in the logic class offered here. She described this class as a place that taught her to think, to problem solve, and taught her to become a critical thinker and a critical reader. When asked how ETHS prepared her for life, Ms. Gassman stated that this class helped her discover more about herself and introduce the idea of social work within her life. She also attributes the theater program here at ETHS to her love of the arts that influenced her decision to be on multiple boards for art programs in Madison, Wisconsin. Ms. Gassman spent her time after graduation working under President Obama's administration in Washington, D.C. as Deputy Assistant Secretary for Employment and Training in the U.S. Department of Labor. Currently, she is a senior fellow at the University of Wisconsin-Madison School of Social Work, teaching macro practice to advanced graduate students. ETHS prepared her to be an activist, taught her the importance of taking risks, and shaped the outcome of her life. Ms. Gassman believes that everyone can be an activist and that anyone can do their part to make the world a better place. Therefore, I am honored to present the Distinguished Alumni Award to Ms. Roberta Gassman.
Well, good morning, Wild Kids. And thank you, Izzy. I am so glad to be here with you seniors, because you are our future, and I'll share why. But first, I want you to know that this was a very important place for me. I was here the day President Kennedy was shot. In the news, I would see African Americans hosed and attacked, trying to get to school, ride a bus, eat lunch, vote. In the library, I read books by my hero, Dr. King. In Girls Club, homeroom, I learned to plan, lead, get things done. In classes, theater, YAMO, I learned to think, to write, to present. I learned about service and justice. My parents did not go to college, but they, children of immigrants and grandchildren of those murdered in the Holocaust, moved here because of the schools, so their children could have opportunity. ETHS led me to public service, most meaningfully for me to the President Obama administration. I've seen government work. I've seen it solving problems. We are in another challenging time now. In Charlottesville, we saw hate on the streets. Some national leaders attack the press and facts. Some reject climate change, public schools, immigration. Leaders of Congress without public hearings, some without reading the bill, just passed a major law that will help the wealthiest the most and balloon the deficit. What can be done? I see the glass half full. Our voices matter. With advocacy, for example, the Supreme Court found marriage equality legal. Efforts to repeal the Affordable Care Act failed last fall because so many protested. After Charlottesville, business leaders and the Joint Chiefs of Staff came forward saying, "We reject hate." In national races, more women and people of color were just elected. But this doesn't just happen, it takes work. You can help. Follow the news. Hone your leadership, writing, public speaking, coalition building skills. Write letters to the editor. Testify. Work for candidates you believe in. Prepare to run for office yourselves. Support organizations making a difference. ETHS has prepared you for this. We need you, our future leaders, and not just the males or those of privilege, all of you in this room. I close with Dr. King. We shall overcome because the arc of the moral universe is very long, but it bends toward justice. And President Obama built on that. It does not bend on its own. It bends because each of us, in our own ways, put our hands on that arc and we bend it in the direction of justice. Seniors, we look to you to put your hands on that arc. Thank you.
Good morning, class of 2018. My name is Sofia Garcia, proud to be board of SOAR Emerge and this year's Latinx Quest president. It is my honor to present such an accomplished alumni like Miss Amie Wilkinson, class of 1985. After 4 amazing years at ETHS, she went on to receive a Bachelor of Arts at Harvard University and a PhD from the University of California, Berkeley. She is currently a professor at the University of Chicago while she continues her work on ergodic theory. I am not an expert on higher-level mathematics, but it sounds like she's doing some really advanced and cutting-edge work. Part of the work she does studies dynamical systems with an invariant measure and related problems. Miss Wilkinson vividly remembers her days in Chem Phys, a class that only confirmed her passions for math and science. She recently gave the keynote address to a reunion of alumni who were Chem Phys students and told them about how her life and career have been impacted by the classes she took with chemistry, physics, and math at ETHS. When asked about any advice to the current seniors, she said that it's all downhill from here, later clarifying that ETHS has prepared all of you for so much for the real world, so there's nothing else to worry about. Prestigious awards she has been awarded was the 2011 Satter Prize in Mathematics, and in 2013, she became a Fellow of the American Mathematical Society for her dedicated work to dynamical systems, and now a Distinguished Alumni of Evanston Township High School. Please a round of applause for Miss Amie Wilkinson.
Thank you. So when Sophia was preparing to introduce me, we had a few conversations, and she kept asking me for stories from my days at ETHS. So the problem is, I guess I can say it, but I would never ask her to say it. Many of these stories involved alcohol abuse, illicit drug use, lots of early bird gym. woke them up. And a theater teacher who was abusing the students. But that makes it sound like my ETHS experience was a waste. In fact, it was quite the opposite. So what was so special about ETHS? Well, clearly the education, we all know that. We don't have to, it's the same now, even better. That's clear to me. But what was important to me is something that keeps giving, even at my ripe old age of almost 50, and that is my classmates. And when you get about 10 years from now and you start thinking about going to your 10th reunion, I pretty much guarantee you're going to be excited. Everyone I know my age who did not go to ETHS dreads their high school reunions. They think they're going to go and they're going to feel like a high school student again, all the social anxiety, and plus the people they went to high school are not very interesting. Well, when I went to my 10th reunion, I had just gotten a professorship at Northwestern University in mathematics. I thought I was a big shot. So I march into this reunion thinking I'm going to be, it's embarrassing to admit, but I thought I was going to be a big shot. And what I discovered was that everyone else was a big shot. They were working in healthcare, writing books, doing missionary work. They were raising children. They were artists. It was the most fascinating group of people, and I'd forgotten how fascinating ETHS students are. And now with Facebook, I'm getting to know students I didn't even know in my class who are interesting, engaged, wonderful people. So what I got out of Evanston was the people, and what I got out of Evanston was the message, and that was through the students, through the teachers, through the administration, that you express yourself, you fight the power, you question authority, and you battle injustice. And that's what I took from ETHS, and that's what my classmates took from ETHS. So I don't think I need to tell you to save the planet, because I know you're going to save the planet. I know that you have these values too. And that's the most valuable thing that I've taken away from my experience here. So thank you very much for this honor. It's great to be back.
All right. Hello. My name is Josh Rousey. I'm your student council representative. I'm here to introduce Mr. Edwin C. Skip Gage. He's an alum of the ETHS class of 1959, and he currently is the chairman and CEO of his own business, Gage Marketing Group. Even though his parents divorced while he was young, he still managed, persevered, and became a first-generation college student. He's married to his wife, Barbara Gage, and has 4 children. He was involved in basketball, football, and tennis while he attended ETHS. While conversing with Mr. Gage, things that stood out to him included the diversity of the entire community, which gave him a platform to understanding broad groups of people. Also, it gave him a platform to understand different cultural groups. After much success on the ETHS men's tennis team, Gage was awarded a scholarship to play for Northwestern University. He went on to play all 4 years at Northwestern and earned his degree in business. After graduation from Northwestern, he became an assistant for a marketing firm in Chicago. When he first began working in this field, the invention of the television was an incredible technological advancement that changed the way that companies could communicate with potential customers. This invention gave him an idea to start a marketing company. He originally started his career with Carlson Marketing, but he later ventured off and created his own business, Gage Group. When asked what words that Mr. Gage wants to give high school seniors, he said, "Pick up a solid path to your future so that you can be better at it." Senior class, please help me welcome Mr. Skip Gage.
Well, thank you, Josh. That's a great introduction. He made me sound much more accomplished than I really am. In fact, when I was thinking about this, this would be the last thing I would have expected when I left Evanston almost 60 years. And I'm sure that some of my teachers, if they were still alive, I doubt that they probably are, would say, wait, what? Skip Gage? You must be joking. Anyway, I'm supposed to tell you a little bit more about myself and maybe give you a piece of advice and tell you why ETHS was important to me. I've been lucky enough to be successful at business. I've started about a dozen companies. I've had the opportunity to run a company with as many as 60,000 employees. I've had the opportunity to run a company as small as 20 employees. They've pretty much all been startups in marketing communications, and digital marketing. We were lucky enough to settle on the internet and digital marketing in the early 90s. And we've stuck with that over the years, and you all know what's happened with the internet and digital, although I'm probably one of the least digitally oriented people you will ever meet. But I hired a lot of really good and really smart people like you, I'm sure. As I moved into my retirement years, I just turned 77 a couple of weeks ago. I've been increasingly involved in philanthropic activities, which one of the great things about the free enterprise system, especially if you're successful, it allows you to become deeply engaged in philanthropy. I'm currently on 3 nonprofit boards, one at Northwestern down the road here, and 2 inner city nonprofits that involve sports, mentoring, and character growth for inner city kids, and it's a great joy. So that's enough about me. There is a Gage Group website if anybody's really interested, but what I really wanted to do was talk about you, because you're the most important people here. I've got 3 pieces of advice for you. Each one will take a minute. Take your time. We have a 3-minute limit in case you don't know. My first suggestion is don't give up your pursuit of being a leader. Many of you are already leaders, and many of you will become leaders in some form. Our country needs leadership more than it has ever before. And I don't just mean prepare to be president or governor or the mayor of Evanston. There's many ways you can be a leader. You can be a leader in your church group. You can be a leader in class. You can be a leader on a team. You can be a leader among just a group of friends who's looking to make some good decisions. You can be a leader in the workplace, and this is incredibly necessary for us. You can be a leader in your family, because our family structure seems to be at risk. And it might be you that just becomes a leader in your family, and you can make a huge difference in the world. My second piece of advice is keep pursuing your education. Some of you may have heard of Robert Putnam, a Harvard professor and author of Our Kids, who's a sociologist and studied society and communities for many, many years. If you believe him and his compatriots at Harvard, he says clearly that education is the prime differentiator for socioeconomic growth. And with socioeconomic growth, all our society wins. So pursuing your education will make a positive difference in your life. Many times in your lives in the future, you're going to be evaluated by somebody. Might be a boss, might be a friend, might be a family member. If they look at your resume, or they know you've graduated from college, or some other respected institution, they'll know three things about you instantly. One, you're smart. You don't get there otherwise and finish your education. Two, you've given yourself some time to gain a level of maturity. And finally, you've got this famous little word, grit. You took on a difficult job, a difficult task, and you did it. You finished it. You didn't just ride along. So that shows everybody that you're a winner. Finally, my last piece of advice is to expect change in your lives. In your lifetime, you've already seen telephones go from hardwired to mobile, the size of a shoebox to the size of a watch. Maybe somebody's putting out a ring now that's a telephone. I don't know, but it's getting pretty small. As you develop your career, I would advise you to think about two things. How can I do a little bit better each year? How can I become better at what I do? How can I become a better person? But then take a few seconds to think about, what do we think will be different 5 years from now? And have I done any thinking about how I might respond to that or prepare myself better? Being able to change and get better every day while innovating is one of the keys to success. When I was asked by Josh, what's the most important thing ETHS gave to me? And one way or another, and I'm sure you'll hear this many, many times, really it's an exposure to diversity at a very young age. And I'm not just talking about racial diversity, although exposure to racial diversity in Evanston was a big help for me later in college, in the military, in the early days of my first job. When I was in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, I considered a young man named Larry Kinner, an African American, my best friend. We lived 3 blocks apart. We went to Haven School and played in the play yard at Haven School. I don't ever remember us talking about race. We were just friends. I also learned at a very young age the difference between a bar mitzvah and a bat mitzvah. And I learned how to spell Przybylski, P-R-Z-Y-B-Y-L-S-K-I. For any of you people of Polish origin out there. But we all played on the same teams. When we got to school, it seemed more like one team than a lot of separate groups. I'm not saying there weren't some borders. There were some separate areas that were mostly white, some areas that were mostly black, some churches that were mostly white, some churches that were mostly black. But when we came to school, we just felt like we accepted each other as students and teammates. Even so, we had a very high quality education as well, which prepared me to go on to college. And although I didn't necessarily give 100% orientation to the academics, because my whole life was consumed by sports, I did enough to stay eligible and sneaked into my Northwestern University scholarship. So thank you, ETHS, for doing all of that for me. Thank you for this award.
Good morning. I'm Brooklyn Love. I am your Vice President, Senior Senator, and a fellow member of Class of 2018. Welcome, everybody. I'm here today to introduce Mr. Donald Rubin. Donald Rubin was born in Washington, D.C. on December 22nd, 1943. A year later, his family moved here to Evanston, and he grew up here in Evanston. He attended high school here at ETHS, and while he was in high school, he was really interested in physics and math. So in 1961, he attended Princeton University, where he intended to major in physics, but by the time he went to graduate, he got a degree in psychology. He attended Harvard in 1965 to complete a PhD in psychology, but he was told that his undergraduate psychology degree needed work in statistics. Knowing that he needed to take some statistics courses, he actually went and opted to get a PhD in statistics, and he went on to teach statistics at Harvard. He has also spent many decades as chair of the statistics department at Harvard. Donald Rubin has advised or co-advised over 50 PhD students, written or edited 12 books, and published nearly 400 articles. For his many contributions, Mr. Rubin has been honored by election to membership in the U.S. National Academy of Sciences and the British Academy, as well as fellowship in the American Statistical Association, the Institute of Mathematical Statistics, the International Statistic Institute, and the Woodrow Wilson Society. He was also named Statistician of the Year by the American Statistical Association's Boston and Chicago chapters. And besides being a statistician, he is also a music lover, audiophile, and a fan of classic sports cars. Please, everyone, give it up for Mr. Donald Rubin.
Thank you very much. Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and I certainly want to thank the committee for honoring me. It's really a great pleasure. But I was thinking about what to say. I was listening to the other comments that the people made. I was quite impressed by them. And one thing that came to mind is the flexibility in the education that you're given here. And when I was a kid going to school here, I was mainly the math and physics kid, but there were other courses that obviously were very influential. So, for example, when I went to graduate school, I had come out of physics, and I started in psychology, and then I switched to computer science, where I got a master's degree, and then I switched to statistics, where I finally got a PhD. And one of the things about this experience that I think is really quite relevant. Somebody used a comment earlier about diversity. I think it was not only the diversity of the environment, but also the diversity of courses. And in fact, some of the most important courses that I took when I was in high school, looking back on it, weren't the ones that formally led to my academic career, but were the ones that didn't. For example, a course that I took in English, that and U.S. history, that taught me how to use English to communicate, to write, and to respect vocabulary. And these weren't things that I think I would have received if I hadn't been to a high school that was really as diverse as Evanston is. So I think one thing I'm going to encourage you guys to do, although it's at the end, is to think back on the courses that you took that weren't necessarily in a field that you really were interested in, that you thought were you going to pursue. And think back on the things that you learned there that would lead to opportunities in the future. Because there's no doubt that the world is changing, and the ability to be a flexible thinker is terribly important, as you all know. I've been sort of involved in academic mathematics, statistics for many decades now, but that's not the most important thing for me. Thinking back on these other courses and the variety of intellectual endeavors is very important. So good luck on your future. Thanks. Bye.
Hello, ETHS class of 2018. I am Joshua Graves, president of the All About Games Club, Anime Club, and a member of the class of 2019. How many of you people in the crowd are interested in music? Well, today I am pleased to introduce to you Mr. Ken Arlen. Mr. Arlen, a father of two, is a vintage car enthusiast, an ETHS graduate, and a musical visionary. He founded one of the best music production companies in Chicago, Arlen Music Productions, and his orchestras have played at numerous large events and venues, like the 2005 presidential inaugural ball, for instance. He made all this possible thanks to the foundation of music he established at ETHS. During his time here, Mr. Arlen participated in the school orchestra and band, playing the clarinet. He even met his wife, Nancy Arlen, in ETHS's music programs. He also played on the soccer team and was involved in academic pursuits. However, he dedicated most of his free time learning and studying music. After high school, Ken Arlen attended Denison University, initially not intending to pursue a musical career. However, after leaving college, he felt drawn back to music and made use of all the skills he had picked up along the way, originally becoming a band leader, then staking out his own company. Today, Arlen Music Productions produces music entertainment for over 600 events a year and has become the largest employer of musicians in Chicago. He supports the community by donating music to over 30 charitable events each year and also happily donates his time mentoring young artists who wish to make a career in music. I am proud to present this distinguished ETHS alum to you.
Thank you, Joshua, for that very nice introduction. And good morning, seniors. You're on the last lap. 6 months, give yourselves a hand. If I may, I would like to ask all of you in the senior class a question today. By show of hands, how many of you have found an activity at ETHS, academic or extracurricular, that you love doing, are passionate about, and really good at? Just about everybody. That's fantastic. So here's what's important. I can guarantee you that when you're my age and you look back over your life, you will see a direct relationship between that activity and success in your given field. Because by following your passion, you're developing your unique ability, and if you're able to work within your unique ability, however that may appear, I guarantee you, you'll excel in life with confidence and an abundance of opportunity. When I attended ETHS, I immersed myself in the music department, practicing, performing on this stage, or just hanging out with friends. And then I went to college, and I tried everything but music. I was a pre-med biology major for the first 3 years, and I graduated from Denison with a degree in economics. Honestly, I have no idea what I was thinking because I was barely competent at economics, and if you ever need a doctor, be glad it's not me. But when it came to the serious question of how I wanted to spend the rest of my life after college, I was drawn back to music, where I found my passion at ETHS. And because I didn't attend a conservatory or major in music, I had a lot of catching up to do. But I enjoyed every minute, and the rest is history. As you all know, ETHS is an exceptional school with both a diversity of students and a diversity of unique opportunities. There's such a huge menu of offerings. You will be shocked when you go to college. I found my classes at Denison were much easier than my honors classes here at ETHS. And the diversity of student body and extracurricular offerings didn't even compare. I also discovered while college shopping with my kids, and this is the good news, most colleges give special preference to ETHS students. No question, there is something really special about ETHS. They know it, and you all know it too. So my advice to you today is find something you love doing. Find the one thing that gives you a spark and sense chills up your spine and gives you energy back. That passion may morph into different forms over time, but what you are developing is your God-given unique ability, and everyone has one. That is where you should spend your time and develop your skills. The universe will do its part and deliver opportunity beyond what you can imagine. I'm as excited and passionate about music today as I was back 46 years ago at ETHS. Most importantly, I'm still having fun with it every day. So I'd like to thank the Alumni Selection Committee for this very special and unexpected honor, and congratulations to these distinguished other award recipients. And to the senior class, thank you for being here, and I wish you all a bigger future. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Neha Singh. I'm your ETHS Educational Foundation student representative and a fellow member of the class of 2018. Today, I'm delighted to share the stories of the Distinguished Alumni Awards posthumous recipients. This year, we are recognizing two inspirational women, Dr. Isabella Garnett and Elizabeth Wood Knapp. Dr. Isabella Garnett was raised in Evanston during the late 19th century, her family a part of the extremely small African American population. She certainly faced intolerance, motivating her to improve the foundation of Evanston's African American community. A member of the ETHS class of 1890, Garnett was determined to become a physician despite the obstacles Black females faced at the time. After interning at a hospital, she became a nurse, earned a pre-medical certificate, and finally graduated from Chicago's College of Physicians and Surgeons in 1901 with a medical doctorate. Dr. Garnett was one of the first Black females in Illinois to become a doctor. Yeah. She returned to Evanston in 1904 to find that both Evanston Hospital and St. Francis Hospital denied care to African Americans in non-emergency situations. So in 1914, Dr. Garnett and Arthur Butler, her husband, founded and operated the Evanston Sanatorium inside their two-story home. The sanatorium became the first medical center for African Americans north of downtown Chicago. Evanston's African American population increased in the wake of the Great Migration. Segregation intensified and therefore escalated the need for medical services. The house could no longer serve the community adequately, so in 1928, the sanatorium merged with another association to become the Evanston Community Hospital. Dr. Garnett served as the superintendent until 1945, but soon hindered by poor health, Dr. Isabella Garnett passed away in August of 1948 in the very hospital she founded and directed. Through her lifelong commitment to serving the African American community with medicine, Dr. Garnett transformed medical care for people of color in Evanston. She was a pioneer who demonstrated that basic rights are not optional. Elizabeth Wood Knapp, known fondly as Betsy, graduated ETHS in 1960 and Wellesley College later in the decade. She soon became prominent in the business of technological advancement. A founding member and executive leader of multiple extensive corporations, Betsy's business credentials are staggering. As president of Telmar Communications, Betsy designed and programmed the company's system software. And later, as senior vice president and director of Knapp Communications, she organized the company's conversion to computers and electronic magazines. Continuing to impact the world of electronic products, Betsy personally founded and led 3 successful and award-winning companies. After being influential to so many technology corporations as a businesswoman, Betsy continued to foster the next generation of women in business. In addition to investing generously in multiple technology startups of the next generation, she educated and empowered female students by endowing initiatives and being active in chair positions at both Wellesley and UCLA. In fact, she was appointed chair of the UCLA Foundation, the first woman to hold the job. We lost Betsy this past June at the age of 74, but her spirit continues to live on in her husband of 38 years, Bud Knapp, her children, and permanently in her promotion of further technological entrepreneurship and female leadership. Thank you.
Thank you all. We have members of the Garnett family here I'd like to introduce to you. Heidi and Arthur Butler. They are the great-grandchildren of Isabella Garnett. We're honored that they traveled very far to be with us today, and also traveling far to be with us are Mr. Bud Knapp and Betsy's brother, Mr. Wood. So if they'd stand, please, and you could give them a round of applause. We have one special award to give out, but before we do that, I would like to ask you to join me in congratulating again all 7 of our recipients today. And can we get an extra round of applause for our 6 speakers, our student speakers, who did a great job with their introductions. A number of years ago, we created a special award to go to an alumni outside of the Distinguished Alumni Award process. We have given it once. It's called the Superintendent's Award. It was given to a guy who was a school board member, an ETHS graduate, an attorney in town who has helped hundreds and maybe thousands of people, was also one of the founding members of the ETHS Alumni Association. We've asked him to come back and present this year's award. So I'm going to introduce to you Mr. John Donahue, class of 1954. You want me to bring him up, or you want me to have him come up?
No,
Okay.
are they going to flash the thing? No. Good morning, class of 2018. This member of the class of 1954 congratulates you. I've also got to say it is an honor and a privilege to be with the distinguished alumni who are up here on the stage, as well as the members of your class who introduced those distinguished alumni. But for the Superintendent's Award, we are not going to reflect outside. We are now going to point a little bit inside. No institution, such as ETHS, achieves excellence without the work of a large number of dedicated, hardworking people. Some are staff, some faculty, administration, and those who volunteer and spend countless hours working on all of the things that make this institution so great. Today, we are going to recognize one of those persons. The Superintendent's Award has no specific criteria, and it has no advance publicity. The person who is about to receive this award does not know that he or she is going to get it yet. As I move on a bit, they're going to recognize who they might be, and they're going to say, oh, just as I did 4 years ago, I wish my family were here to hear somebody say such nice things about me. Well, the family is here in an action surrounded by secrecy equal to the Normandy invasion. They've assembled and have crept in during the course of the day. I assured them, your relative cannot see you. It's hard to see beyond the first couple of rows. Our recipient today, as I said, there's no specific criteria, but there is a real test for this award. And that is, when that person's name is mentioned, you go, of course, so-and-so should receive the Superintendent's Award. Our awardee today, a graduate of the high school, went on to college and law school,
but then came back to Evanston, where he was extremely active in the community and in this school. He was a president of the Alumni Association, during which time that association expanded, strengthened, more than doubled the number of scholarships it granted. He also has been extremely active in the ETHS Foundation, which becomes more and more important in this day and age of lesser resources from government and taxes to fund education. When one of the most prestigious awards that the high school can give, the Oliver Beatty Cunningham Award for Boys, it had been established and funded by the family. Well, the family had moved or died, and the funding, which while quite adequate in the 1920s, was far from adequate and was almost exhausted. He stepped in and spearheaded the effort to bring the funding for the Cunningham Award equal to that for the Women's Club Award for girls. He has assisted in the lacrosse program, and in fact, he played lacrosse here at ETHS under Myrnie Lazier, a legend in this town. All in all, this person bleeds orange and blue. In addition to graduating from here, he sent his children here, and something for all of you to think about as you either reflect upon your science classes or sit in them now. He even went so far as to marry his lab partner. It is my honor and privilege to present the Superintendent's Award for 2018 to Jim Osira, class of 1974.
This truly was a secret and a big surprise, and I couldn't be more honored. And you know, all I can say is it's really been my privilege to come back, you know, to Evanston and raise my kids here. My 3 kids all went through high school here, and it's just been my privilege to work here, to have something that I could really give my attention and my love to. I love the high school. I loved it when I was here. I love it now. I think you guys will all love it 20 years from now as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much. You did it. Less than 58 minutes, and you're going to be able to go back legally to those cell phones. Class of 2018, thank you for your attention this morning. Thanks for allowing us to honor some people who have made great contributions to our society. Great contributions to their career and their chosen work, and great contributions to the ETHS family. You see, on this stage is ETHS family. In this auditorium is ETHS family. You will forevermore be a family member of Evanston Township High School, and you are wild kids. And I'll be dismissing you a little early so that you can get on your way to 4th period in time. Go kids!